Hi, welcome to James Miller Lifeology, where you learn to simplify and transform your spirit, mind, and body. My name is James Miller. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and a composer. Thank you so much for joining with us today. Let's get started. I really wanted to take a quick second just to thank all of you who continually support and listen to James Miller Lifeology Radio. It has been such an exciting adventure for me. There are so many amazing things that are happening over here that I definitely want to share with you. So for the next few months, every person who signs up for my free newsletter will be entered into a drawing. In this monthly drawing, whomever wins will win a free 30-minute Skype call with me, James Miller. I will help you simplify and transform your spirit, mind, and body. So go to my website, jamesmillerlifeology.com, and sign up for my free newsletter there. Who knows, maybe you will be the lucky winner. So sign up today. I have a great show for you today. I'm going to help you recognize the dignity of others. I'll also be interviewing Colleen Adams and two of her graduates who are going to discuss their powerful inner-city program, Empowered Youth USA. They'll also be reviewing their book, Hope in the Hood. This amazing book gives insights into the specifics of how they changed their community and created hope, self-respect, and dignity for all the people around them. I have some exciting news. For those of you who listen to me on the radio, did you know that I'm on the air 3 times a week? You may hear me on the same station on Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m., Fridays at 9:30 a.m., and Saturdays at 12:30 p.m. Or you can listen to me on all the major podcasting platforms anytime you want, or simply visit jamesmillerlifeology.com, sign up for my free newsletter, and have the episodes emailed directly to you once a week. Once upon a time, there was a rich and powerful, intelligent king. But what was most noticeable about him was his arrogance. Such was his pride that he felt no one was a worthy rival with whom to share his favorite pastime, chess. So the king sent messages across the land stating that he would give 1/10 of his fortune to whoever could prove to be worthy of playing against him. In return, if the king considered that the person to be unworthy, he would imprison them. Many risked their lives to challenge the proud king, rich or poor, illiterate or intelligent, but the king would always find them to be unworthy. They weren't good enough. They couldn't match his command of the game. As time passed, one reckless challenger after another was imprisoned. The king felt satisfied that there was no one in the whole land capable of taking him on. Years later, a poor beggar came to the palace intending to play against the king. People had tried to dissuade the beggar, trying to save him from a certain imprisonment, but it was no good. And he came before the king, who, seeing the beggar's ragged appearance, couldn't believe that it had even crossed his mind that he could be a worthy rival. "What makes you think you deserve to play against someone like myself, slave?" said the king, irritated. "That I forgive you for what you're about to do. Would you be capable of that?" the beggar calmly answered. The king was stunned. He would never have expected anything like that. But the more he thought about it, the more the man's word made sense. If he were condemned to death, the beggar would be right, and he would have shown himself to be the better man due to his capacity to forgive. And if the beggar was not imprisoned, he would come away with both his life and a reputation for being a worthy adversary. Without having yet moved a piece, the king knew he had already lost the match. Being a human being gives you just as much dignity as your neighbor. Your value is determined by how you view yourself, your interaction with the world around you, and your self-respect. Recognizing your dignity. One of the amazing things about being a human being is we all deserve to be treated the same way. We all have the same rights and responsibilities to treat our neighbor the way we would like to be treated. As we know, in the world, many people are given different opportunities and circumstances in which they're raised. Some people were raised in different environments, and those environments, unfortunately, will often determine how each person views themselves or how the world will view them. How do you honor the people around you? In any situation, it's so important for us to realize our thoughts and perception about the people around us. If we find that we think we're better than or less than the other person, we're doing ourselves a disservice as well as the other person a disservice. When we recognize the blessings that we have in our life, it helps us be more appreciative of where we're at today. Some people, just based off of life itself, are given opportunities that other people are not given, but it doesn't mean that the other person is better or worse, it's just simply different. When we all have this universal dignity, it helps us interact with each other in a way that commands respect and honor for others. With this universal dignity, we then have to decide what our self-worth is. The amount of materialistic things you have, for example, money, cars, houses, whatever those things may be, does not determine your worth. Your worth is based off of how you perceive yourself, how you treat other people, and the value you place on your own life. Those external things are just simply things. Yes, the world may say those are wonderful things to have, but at the end of the day, those things don't bring you happiness. Those things don't bring you joy. Those things don't bring you peace. Your self-perception determines your value. And when you can honor your community and the people around you with the dignity they deserve, you create an environment where people can thrive. You create an environment where people are drawn to you, where people want to better themselves. But unfortunately, many people don't realize that their value is no different than the people they see on TV or the people they deem wealthy or who have a really high education. There's absolutely no difference between any of us. Today, I really want to encourage you to be mindful of how you interact with the people around you. Do you demonstrate honor and respect and dignity to your peers? Do you recognize your own value and your own worth? How do you demonstrate that? My guests today, Colleen Adams, and two of her wonderful graduates from her program are going to discuss how they bring value and dignity to their community. It's a really good testament of how people can change the world. You too can be a world changer. You too can honor the people around you. Did you know that I have a YouTube channel? That's actually how Lifeology started. I have well over 150 episodes that I've created specifically for you. I do know many people struggle with listening to a full 30-minute show, so these YouTube episodes are about 3 minutes long. Each episode teaches you one simple lesson that you can practice daily, which will help you simplify and transform your spirit, mind, and body. Simply go to my website, jamesmillerlifeology.com, and subscribe to my YouTube channel there, or go to youtube.com and search for my name, James Miller Lifeology. Colleen Adams is an unlikely pioneer in the juvenile justice field. As a former fashion and publishing executive, Colleen's dream to help at-risk inner-city youth morphed into nonprofit Empowered Youth USA, which serves the most crime-ridden neighborhoods of Miami. Juvenile justice experts recognize the impressive success of Colleen's winning formula. Her inspirational true story, including insight and testimony from her youth served, is documented in the new book, Hope in the Hood. Welcome to my show.
Thank you so much. We're so happy to be here.
Well, thank you. Well, Colleen, you are joined by two outstanding young men that I would love for you to also introduce to my listeners.
Yes, indeed. I'm very, very honored to introduce your audience to Mr. Vernon Clark, who's one of the graduates of the Empowered Youth Program and also working in our job development program.
Hello, how's it going, everyone?
And also Damaris Dacius, we call him D. Dacius.
How you doing, everyone?
Well, welcome. I'm so excited to get to talk to you three. You guys are doing such phenomenal things down in Miami. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about all the transformational work that is happening down there and excited for you to share that with my listeners today.
Thank you. We're excited too.
Wonderful. Well, Colleen, I wanted to ask you first off, so how did you go from being a publishing executive in a former fashion and publishing executive to all of a sudden working in inner city? How did that come about?
Well, I worked for many years, as you say, in fashion and publishing, and it was obviously a very exciting life. But I think everything in the end goes back to our own personal history, and I think that guides us all into more or less our destiny, hopefully. So at the end of the day, I sort of chose substance over style. And I was going through a divorce, and I was in New York City, and I was working for Harper's Bazaar, and there were many things going on. And I just decided to reevaluate my life and to redirect my life. And so I went back to school to get my master's in social work, and my goal was to work with gangs, actually.
Oh, wow.
I had done a lot of work, I started cause marketing for Harper's Bazaar, and I was always very involved in the community. And one of the communities I was drawn to in New York was an inner city community. I worked with kids in juvenile justice, and I also worked in a drug rehab program. Then I had an opportunity to go to London to work with the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund.
Oh, wow.
I grabbed that because I thought that was an experience of a lifetime, and it really was. It was a 2-year sojourn that I made to London. It was life-altering, obviously, and left me really wanting to come back to the United States and have an impact in a real social impact and make a difference in the world somehow. So I came back, and I was looking for a job in nonprofit. I couldn't get one because my resume was all in fashion and publishing.
Sure.
Went back to work for Perry Ellis here in Miami, and while I was working at Perry Ellis, I read an article in the Miami Herald about the kids in juvenile justice system. I contacted them, and I went over to do a career day, took a whole bunch of folks from Perry Ellis over with me.
Oh, wow.
And unsuspecting, by the way. And then once I got there and I really was introduced to the kids in the detention center, it was kind of like this warehouse of discarded kids. Once I went in, I never really left.
And you never looked back.
I never have. I've never, ever regretted that decision.
You know, one of the things I really love about your story is through tragic and heartache and pain, once we take time to reflect and to have that introspection, I can guarantee you that something beautiful will come out of it if we look for it. You know, for you, through that time of difficulty in your life, I'm sure at that moment, you never would have thought that and these are my words, not yours. You probably never would have thought that you'll find happiness and joy and purpose again. And all of a sudden, look at you now here on this show with these fantastic young men telling us about the amazing things that you were doing down in Empowered Youth USA. So I just wanted my listeners to hear that as well. If they're going through something that's incredibly difficult, there is hope on the other side.
Well, I'd like to actually add one thing. I worked during my days at Harper's Bazaar. I did a lot of events all across the country, and I was working with a gentleman named Sam Keene. He wrote Fire in the Belly, and he worked with Joseph Campbell at Harvard, and he was, he's kind of a modern-day philosopher. I called him during this crisis moment, and I feeling very lost, and he told me to take the tombstone test. You decide what you want your legacy in life to be, and then you work backwards. So it really repositioned me, because at that moment, as I sat there reevaluating past and what I wanted my future to be, I realized that if I died tomorrow, what the thing I would most regret was not having done something to make a difference in the world. So I think that if people can really just crystallize, why am I?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I here? And what is my purpose? And then you can work toward that.
Excellent. And I really hope my listeners listen to that and take that tombstone test themselves.
Yes.
Let's talk more about Empowered Youth USA. What is it that you specifically do there?
Empowered Youth is a diversion program for the Department of Juvenile Justice. Most of our kids are court ordered.
Mm-hmm.
We receive them into the program through a plea. Usually it's a plea deal with either the juvenile or the criminal justice system. Take them into our program as an alternative to sentencing. Vernon wants to be the one to jump in.
Perfect. All right, Vernon, tell us a little bit more about it.
All right, the program. Well, actually, I started going to the program when I was about 16 years old.
How old are you now?
20. I'm 20 years
okay.
now. So I went through the juvenile process, and I got co-ordered to the program. So as I started going to the program, like the first phase is the life skill characteristic part. And the phase 2 is the job development program, where you work in the kitchen, working on your experience, like customer service, like learning new things, like how to cook a dish and stuff.
Oh, that's great.
Then you move on to the food truck, where you're in the real world, basically in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then Dee, you want to add something to that?
Yes, phase 1, like Vernon said, is character development, which is where we have open dialogue on Mondays and Wednesday night, where we have mentors and boys from the program sit around and just discuss day-to-day stuff and troubles that we face day-to-day and how to overcome it and not succumbing back to the outside life.
That's so important, yes.
Yes, and then phase 2, what like Vernon was saying, is the job development phase. Like we like to call it earn while you learn. It's like we get chef experience and like knife training, and it's just something like skills we could have so we could at least try to further ourselves in the work business so we could have something to offer the jobs.
Oh, that's wonderful. So once people are discharged or released from that program, then obviously they'll have the tools that they need to find employment.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely amazing.
Most of our students are court ordered, but we also have a number of young men in our program who have friends and other folks in their community who are so without opportunity and who really are wanting so badly to change, wanting so badly to grab onto something that can help them out of poverty. In my experience, there are really two drivers of juvenile crime. One, poverty, and the second are single-parent homes. So through the process of our program, we really work to address both of those voids. Through the program, we have mentors and tutors, and we have a lot of folks who come in to help and assist our young men. So we try to create a family environment. One of the things I will always say to the young men who come into our program is that, look, I don't care what you've done in the past. It's really, really not relevant to this conversation at all. What I care about is what you're going to do from now on.
Yeah.
So we really try to work toward helping young men to understand their value, to get back some of their self-respect, and also dignity. Poverty strips people of their dignity. It's really devastating, actually, to grow up in a situation where you're always on your back foot, where you never really have respect and all the things that come with lack, So I think that we really work to say, look, you are a valuable person.
Yes,
you
are.
have gifts and you have things to offer the world, and so let's figure out what those are so we can give you those opportunities. And then the second phase is all about taking that young man who's now redirected his focus in life, just saying, look, I don't have to be a criminal. I don't have to die on the street. I can be somebody.
Mm-hmm. You're given those choices, that's for sure, yes.
We have the food truck, we have culinary class, we have entrepreneurship class, we have bartending training. We have a lot of different training. Then the boys get to have the opportunity to work on the food truck, but we're also trying very hard to open our cafe.
I heard about that. That's amazing.
Yes, well, we have land in Wynwood, which is a new an upcoming art district here in Miami, and the opportunity that would offer would be 50 new training spots and job opportunities for inner city boys who simply do not have another way out.
Wow.
So it's really that actually this book is all about raising awareness of who these young men really are,
mm-hmm.
and then allowing people the opportunity to actually contribute to their success through supporting, because any proceeds from the book will go directly toward the cafe.
I just wanted to add, like Ms. Colleen was saying, a lot of the crime that is committed with inner city youth like myself and at-risk kids is because we're low on resources and stuff, and
mm-hmm.
people don't really understand that, and they just like to judge without really knowing why. That's why, like she said, we have a book called Hope in the Hood, so you could better get an understanding of the choices, complications, and problems we're faced with on a day-to-day basis. That's why it's really important for us to open up the CAF so that it'd be more resources for us and open up more jobs that we so badly need.
I think that's absolutely wonderful. Let's actually talk more about the book, Hope in the Hood. So tell me, is it more of a novel, like you'd read like in a story? Is it more facts? How would you kind of describe the book overall?
It's definitely a documentary, because it's really the true story of real people's lives and their struggle, and it's in the outcomes that in other words, if you're born into poverty that's where that's how you grow up, and and you have to survive in that. And then, I often say to folks, if you take someone from an affluent neighborhood and you drop ship them into any inner city neighborhood in the United States, then, and you ask that person to survive with nothing,
mm-hmm.
I wonder how well they're going to do without doing something maybe they wouldn't do otherwise. So
sure.
It's a very, if your options and your choices are limited, if you're competing for so few resources, then, you become desperate.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Say, a lot of children don't have enough guidance inside their life. So at the program, we have mentors. So they help them decide what they should do with their life skills and stuff like that, like go to school, finish college. Most people don't have that in their life. Like, they probably lost their dad, or they probably lost their mom.
A mentor of some sort, yes.
Yeah.
One of the great things I was reading as well is with this program, it's 87% of the youth who've completed the program do not reoffend. And so I think those statistics are phenomenal. Typically you don't hear those types of statistics. For a little bit about me, I actually worked, when I first graduated in my undergrad, I actually worked in a lot of juvenile detention centers. The centers were the last opportunity they had before they went off to actual adult jail, adult prison. It's wonderful for me to hear these statistics, to hear the amazing things you are doing. My goal when I was younger was to open up my own inner city community center. So it didn't work out, but I get this wonderful opportunity to talk with you guys because my future turned out to be in a different way. But so this is, like I said, absolutely phenomenal that we're hearing such amazing things that Empowered Youth USA is doing down in the Miami area. So let me ask Vernon and Dee, how have you found that your life has changed drastically from when you first started until now?
When I first came to the program, I wasn't able to speak clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't want to speak to anybody at all. I really didn't know what the program, how much opportunities the program can bring towards me. Like,
sure.
Rather working with the job development program and stuff like that. But it really helped me with my life skills, go on a better path, because I was going down the drain.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. What about you, Dee?
For me, I feel like the program has helped me make a drastic change in my life because, like Vernon said, before when I first started the program, it's like I was going nowhere fast and didn't really see a future for myself. Then I got in the program, started setting up goals, trying to accomplish my goals, and just making a plan for myself, telling myself I can have a better life. So I feel like the program really made me get more value or something for myself.
That's awesome. Now, when you are around maybe some of your peers who have not gone to that to this program, do you notice a difference as far as your outlook in life?
Yeah, I try to bring as much as my peers on board with me as I can. But
that's great.
But just like you can't help who don't want to be helped. So you still gonna have bad people. You still gotta stay positive yourself. There's always temptation around you every day. So you gotta want it for yourself. So I just try to keep my head on straight and just avoid it if I can.
Yes. And sometimes it's hard to avoid it, but, in our mind and our thoughts, that's where change starts. So regardless if people may be around it still, with maybe some of their peers, as long as they hold true to what they believe and feel is right for themselves, then they will continue to go in that forward path.
When we go to the program and we leave the program, we still leave with the mindset that we was in the program with the mentors and stuff taught us about. So when we leave,
that's great.
Back inside the community, the program is located in the heart of the city. So once you leave, it's still a lot going on out there. You could always mess up, but you got to be willing to change. That's what we talk about in the program.
There are a lot of juvenile programs, and from your own experience, there are a lot of juvenile programs that actually take young men out of, and they take them away and they put them into a residential program for a period of time. And I think that those certainly can be very impactful. But one thing that I find is they're always reinserted into their environment.
Yes.
We conduct our program inside the inner city specifically because we want to be that oasis in the middle of all this activity. We want to be that one place, that one safe space where people can come, they have a voice, they're respected, they have dignity, they are, they have value. And we want them to come there and nourish that. And then, then we can send them back out, and they have to, but it has to be internalized. They have to be able to understand that they have to really value themselves first, and there's a lot of talk in the inner city about respect. And it's the one thing that, respect is it's like if you're on the Sahara Desert and there's no water and all you think about is water. Well, I think in the inner city there is, respect is don't step on my new sneakers, or don't, just, so respect is so distorted. But what I really want these young men to understand is respect begins with you.
Yes, once you respect yourself, then.
Program on Saturdays, we sometimes go out on trips. So, growing up in the hood, you grow up in the hood. You really don't go that much places. You just stuck in one little square. Well, the program, it helps you, see that there's more opportunities out there in the world, to do and stuff like that.
It opens up your eyes and expands your world.
Yes.
To that point, we also have tutoring during the school year. We have tutoring at the University of Miami. And so many of our...
Oh, neat.
So many of our young men have decided to go to college or decided to pursue college because we have all of these wonderful, usually law students or all these students from the University of Miami, and they are one-on-one tutoring and mentoring our young men so that they begin to start to understand that, I like this campus. Usually it's because all the girls are so cute, but I really like this experience of college, and it's their first exposure. And, like one of the guys in our program, first young man in his family to ever go to college, started college yesterday. So,
wow,
yeah, it's just
that's amazing.
But, but there are many others who have gone on to college. But, when if anyone goes on to study and goes to college and pursues their dreams, it's fabulous. I don't care from where they may come. But when a young man who has been confronted day after day after day with the slippery slope of no help, no backup, no support, no resources, when that person makes it to college, that is spectacular.
That's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. So we're the accomplishments of our young men are really amplified and enunciated so much by the fact that they have to overcome so much to get this one.
That's absolutely amazing. I want to thank you three for being a guest on my show today. I know it's been so inspirational for my listeners today. If my listeners would like to find out more information about your amazing program and the book that you've written, where would they find your information online?
We're at www.empoweredyouth.usa.org. And and also we're on Facebook.
Okay.
And we can, and also the book is going to be, we're going to have a launch for our book at Books and Books in Coral Gables on June the 22nd. We're going to have, it's going to be a conversation with the community, and we're going to have a panel of our young men there addressing all the issues that confront our young people and all the struggles that they have and what they need, the support that we need from the community. So we're going to have a conversation about that at the book signing, and so we certainly invite anyone who's in Miami on the 22nd to join us for that event. And we just appreciate the opportunity to showcase the value. I just want to focus on that. All the news about inner city youth is such bad news, and it's not bad news. I think there's total misrepresentation. I think there's so much good news. These are very, 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 very good people who grow up in very, very, very tough circumstances. But that does not define our kids. And they can, with help, support, resources, and opportunity, they can overcome that. And we just want to shout that from the rooftops. And we so appreciate the opportunity you've given us to do that. Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, James. Thanks for having us.
I also want to thank you, my listener, for joining with me today. Please subscribe to this radio show through whichever portal you joined with me. Also, please go to my website where you may sign up for my newsletter, enroll in the Lifeology Academy, watch my YouTube episodes, and read all the articles I've written just for you. If you'd like to become a guest or advertise on my show, simply visit jamesmillerlifeology.com. You may also follow me on all social media platforms under the name James Miller Lifeology, except for Twitter, which is James M. Lifeology. Have a fantastic day, and I look forward to